If you would indulge me, I would like to tell you a story. A fresh gumshoe, right out of the academy, I find myself in way over my head. Incapable. Not a word in my vocabulary. I had never heard the word forfeit. I found myself in a familiar place, materials to study from, and a puzzle to solve. A victim lies dead, a gun to his side, and no gunshot wound. To begin, medical history. My victim had excellent cardiac health. His doctor would tell me that he had at least 10 more years to live. Not exactly case-cracking information. I would have to dig deeper. The victim was a successful businessman, selling weapons. He could have kept his fire running with bills if he ever ran out of kindling. A manservant to the victim, he spent considerable amounts of time in his presence. We covered the basics. The manservant had been experiencing money problems, and he'd been fighting with his wife. In fact, it would be revealed that the victim's goddaughter was his wife. Intriguing, was it not? What was even more intriguing was this. Our victim had bequeathed his entire estate, all assets and remaining cash, to his goddaughter, his manservant's wife. It didn't take a detective to smell the guilt in the room. Apparently, it wouldn't take much to solve this case. Almost instantly, she would admit that she had been fighting recently with both her godfather and her husband. She admitted that she could have certainly done with the extra cash. Her godfather had not been particularly generous. I asked her where she had been the night of the murder. She admitted everything, to a little surprise of my own. She and her husband decided they needed help financially, so they decided to shake the old man up a bit, with a gun, an empty gun. She would try to convince him to wire some extra money. She thought that she had brought an empty gun, but as she pulled the trigger, her godfather crumpled to the ground. She was entirely innocent. I spent 6 years at the police academy. I studied forensics, crime scene investigation. None of it prepared me for this. The gun at the crime scene had been empty. A victim lies dying on the pavement, without blood, unwounded, and my number one suspect claims to have shot him. It was evident that somehow the poor woman had been tricked. She believed that she killed someone, but how does one simply convince another that they're a murderer? And then, the coroner's report arrived. The coroner report deduced the cause of death to be cardiac arrest, but having known that our victim had excellent cardiac health, it was evident that something else was behind the heart attack. Had the empty gun scared him into a heart attack? Unlikely. The man sold firearms for a living, so guns were no foreign objects. It was necessary, in the mind of the killer, that the victim had to die with a gunshot. That way, the frame would believe they killed him. Someone with a foot in the door had to set his cardiac system at such unrest that the gun would induce a heart attack. Someone like a manservant.
What? Why do you keep staring at me?
So how did you do it? Was it chemicals? Drugs?
Amphetamine.
You had fed him the drug up until the point of cardiac arrest, and then you convinced your wife to shake the old man up a bit. And you've been experiencing money problems, and you had been fighting with your wife. The old man croaked. Your wife inherited all of the money. Then, facing a murder conviction and life imprisonment, the money falls to the next family member in line. You. Sure enough, they would find drugs in his possession, and he was left to rot in prison for as long as life would have him. His wife, she led a life of luxury, giving her newly acquired wealth to numerous good causes. And me? Well, I got back to work.